Back here now on the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast. A huge move today in terms of just shaking everything up. Stefon Diggs goes to the Houston Texans. I mentioned it in our production meeting today, actually, when we were asked about it. Stefon Diggs, I was writing another topic for a show coming up today or the next day on Stefon Diggs, commenting on another comment that was left on a post by RG3. RG3 was basically talking about the chemistry between Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen. How much does Stefon Diggs bring to this team? How much does he impact Josh Allen and has impacted Josh Allen in how well he's playing, how well he will play, and how well he has played? And RG3, like most people would, has said that Stefon is significant to Josh Allen, has been pivotal to seeing the change, the maturity in Josh Allen. A comment was left on that, and basically they said that Stefon Diggs certainly adds to Josh Allen's success, but he's not essential to Josh Allen's success. That was yesterday, April 2nd, and Stefon Diggs saw that, and he commented to that comment. He said, just simply, "You sure?" Just those two words, "You sure?" in a question, rhetorical. That was yesterday. And now today he gets drafted. It's crazy how it all works out. I had to scratch everything and just react to this trade because, earlier in this show I mentioned how Stefon could be traded. There were those rumors, those murmurs that he wasn't really settled in. You turn on ESPN and just today you see Stephen A. or people on Get Up say that he's been wanting to get out of Buffalo. He's been unsettled recently. He's lost faith in them. That's the words coming out of Stephen A. I don't know how accurate that is. That's just what he said, what I saw. And if that turns out to be true, it all panned out in the way that this trade went down, actually happening. And going to the Texans is one thing, or getting traded is one thing. The fact that they sent him to the Houston Texans for Diggs went to the Houston Texans for a 2025 second-round pick. The Texans gave up a second-round pick that wasn't even theirs. They got that pick when they traded with the Minnesota Vikings for their 23rd pick. So that pick was already, just a free incentive to trade because it wasn't there. So they were just playing with that extra pick that they had, trading it for Stefon Diggs, and Houston in return gets Stefon Diggs along with a 2024 sixth-round pick and a fifth-round pick in 2025. It's crazy to know what Houston is getting or had to give up for Stefon Diggs. Only a second-round pick. Stefon Diggs is only 30, has been on the decline compared to what he was just 2 years ago. That's understandable. I might agree with you on that, but he's still, top 5, 7 for sure. I just off the top of my head, I can't name 7 receivers better than him, most likely. And the Texans now, I was already a big fan of them on the low, just keeping it to myself, to my friends, really liking them. I loved what I saw to CJ Stroud. Tank Dell is going to be a great player for them. Unfortunately, he got hurt. Nico Collins broke through this year. Dalton Schultz is a reliable weapon for CJ. Their defense is very good, very solid. Christian Harris, I really didn't know about Christian Harris until those playoff games and how well he played in them, how impactful he was. He's a stud. They got Danielle Hunter to replace Jonathan Grenard. Will Anderson, the defensive rookie of the year, is on that team. All they need is really another corner to pair up with, I'm going to forget his name, Derek Stingley. And then, where is the weakness on this team? And even mentioned Joe Mixon. They brought in Joe Mixon as well from the Cincinnati Bengals. This team is it just reminds me of if I'm playing like a Madden franchise or something and I'm trading for all these players, bringing them to the team I'm playing with. It's crazy how all in D'Amico Ryans and their general manager just went all in with this team right now. It's awesome to see. Their general manager, Nick Caserio, it's great to see how committed they are to this team and how well they've just, forget everything else, forget all the negatives that could go wrong with this and everything else like that. They could just still, this could not turn out as well as people think, but they don't really care. They know that they have a stud quarterback in their facility. They believe in him enough to get all these weapons right now and not really wait on, oh, this draft pick could do well or could this blow up later on. Forget all of that. They went out and got Stefon Diggs, and it's great to see Texans doing that and how well they've transitioned now so quickly into being what I think probably the second best team in the AFC right now. I don't think that's crazy to say. They have the quarterback, the pieces around them. The defense is one of the up-and-coming defenses. You can't put them up there yet, but compared to the second best team right now, if you want to say the Ravens or, I don't even know, the Bengals maybe right now in the AFC, toe-to-toe, talent-wise, the Texans could go with any of those teams. Offensively, the most talented team and star-studded team that I saw in the entire league was the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that's not really certain. That's not really a foregone conclusion that the Eagles are just best team offensively with what the Texans have been able to build up right now. And just on that topic, like I mentioned, how quickly they've transitioned from 2022 when they had Davis Mills as their quarterback and nobody knowing where this team was going to go. Nico Collins hadn't really broken out. It wasn't really going the way people thought it would. Just 2022, 2 years ago, you get CJ Stroud, you get Tank Dell, and Nico Collins looks great now. You bring in Joe Mixon, and just night and day, this team is not the same team it was before. DeMeco Ryan should get a lot of credit for how well he's coached them and developed CJ Stroud. But this team is now really just jumped up into that tier with the Kansas City Chiefs. And you still favor the Chiefs right now. I'm not going to say they're the best team because the Chiefs have all the experience, have the best quarterback of this generation. But the Texans now, this coming season, it's really theirs to lose, to just throw away because you can't make an excuse now. Of course, everybody has to gel and come together and know how it all works out. But it's amazing what they've done right now. I'm still at a loss for words at how this all turned out. To trade him to the Texans is just mind-blowing. And what Diggs can still bring, I said before that he is admittedly on the decline right now. It's hard to see him get better than what he has been, but it's that experience and that attitude that he brings, I think, most of all, because the Texans are a young team. Tank Dell, a second-year player. CJ, a second-year player. Nico, not really that old. Joe Mixon's one of the older ones, and he's coming in. That's going to add a lot. But I think Stefon Diggs is bringing that experience, like I mentioned, like Joe Mixon, but he brings this other desire, I think, to really play in a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. You always see those pictures of Stefon Diggs watching the Chiefs celebrate, staying on the field and watching the confetti fall and just seeing that, being a motivation to go back with the Bills. But obviously that's dead now. That reality is dead, and he just wants to be in the big games. He wants to make it to a Super Bowl. Being traded to the Texans gives him the best chance at that, and I think he's going to help monumentally off the field as much as on the field. If you want to say on the field, he's going to be the second, third best receiver. That's all right. But he's going to bring that desire, that mentality that a young team needs, especially after coming off a first year where everything went right for them. Second year might have some struggles, might have some ups and downs. Having Stefon Diggs in there, who's really seen it all, have everybody calm down, keep a level head. That's just as big as anything that he could bring on the field, and he's going to bring a lot on the field. He's not just some washed-up receiver. He was the Bills' best receiver, and now he's on the Texans. I love, again, what this move means for the Texans. They're really solidifying themselves as one of the top teams. I'm excited to watch them. I haven't gotten into the Bills and how this could affect them. I'm going to definitely talk about that, if not tomorrow, definitely on Friday. But now there's more questions with the Bills. I saw somewhere on social media today that their top three receivers are, I'm gonna forget one of their names. It's just crazy what they've gone from. Curtis Samuel's one of them. Matt Collins is another one, and then they have another one that I just forget his name, but he's been on the roster. And how quickly it's all gone from this Super Bowl window, still open because you have Josh Allen, Diggs is still there. It's hard to say now that if it's still open or it has definitely shut, because the talent on all over the roster, it's definitely not the same as it has been, where it's been one of the best talent-wise rosters built, and they still lost to the Chiefs. They still had struggles getting over the Chiefs and winning at home this past season especially. Now you ultimately get worse. They're really in some murky waters right now. But I'm going to get more into that on one of the shows coming up this week. But again, just to recap everything, the winner of this trade ultimately, if you can't tell by my reaction, is the Houston Texans. They've blown this whole offseason out of the water. And now, more pressure on them, on a young team. How that plays out, that's something that is certainly a question. But the way CJ Stroud has played, the way he's led this team, I have no doubts that they're going to go as far as he takes them still, ultimately. And just based on how he played, I have all the confidence in the world in CJ Stroud in those games into January, into December, to get this team as far as possible. They're doing it the right way, aggressive, not thinking twice about it. I love this move, and it's going to be great to see more. It adds more entertainment, more fun to these games. Seeing this all-star team on the field is going to be awesome. And just on that, the Texans definitely won the trade. And I'm not a Texans fan, I swear, but I just love seeing what they've done in the offseason. It's very fun to see them get better and just switch night and day in the course of 2 years, making it all look so easy where you have other teams that are still struggling, and that's just the NFL. Night and day brings you all these sort of stuff, sort of surprises, and you gotta love it. You gotta love it if you're a fan, and especially in my position, talking about it, it's extremely fun, and hopefully more things like this happen. But that's gonna do it for today's episode. A lot of excitement and a lot of groundbreaking news to add on today's episode. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and please remember to follow, like, and subscribe to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Make sure to also follow the network on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and X for more of the network's content outside of sports as well. If you want to see more of me and more of the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast, make sure to check out both YouTube channels, the GSMC Sports Network channel and the Podcast Network channel. On YouTube for YouTube Shorts that are posted daily. All the full recorded live shows are on there if you want to go back and rewatch a full show, as well as individual segment videos that are cut up from the live shows. If you missed one segment or want to go back and watch just a certain segment, they're all on there on both channels. Tune in every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for more NFL conversations, more discussions around the best league in the world. With me, your host, Manny Maradiaga. Thank you guys once again for joining me. I'll see you guys all tomorrow.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to